Okay, so this is my first mood board. So this is my fashion piece. For this, I wanted it to be able that it could walk down the runway, and that none of the pieces were going to fall off. So it was quite important to find out which product would work. But I'll talk about that in a second. So I was inspired by Rick Owens and his otherworldly runway for autumn and winter. Which is one of these images with the prosthetic pieces. And I was also inspired by this mouth guard that Crystal on this year's British Drag Race wore. And I was really inspired with the teeth and stuff. So I decided to sort of recreate a mouth guard with the teeth and then take inspiration from the cheek pieces that Billy B did on Lady Gaga. The concept for this piece was to sort of create a futuristic look of what the human race might look like. So what I've done is take inspiration particularly from this sort of bit with the sort of the white and everything. Because from Dior's book, they talk about different colours and what they mean. And so for Dior, white means light and purity, which I quite liked. And I also wanted it to be quite an androgynous piece. So this piece could work on like a male or a female, or even if in the future we have a race that is genderless and what that would mean. So then this was my design. So I used 3D sculpt gel because it was the best one. I tried experimenting with ball cap plastic, but I couldn't get the molds right, and the mixture was very bubbly and I wasn't enjoying the results, which I will upload into my essay. But with the 3D sculpt gel, I found it really bonded to the skin. And even when the mouth guard was put in, it didn't move, and it then didn't affect the makeup, which I really liked. So what I wanted it to look like is these sort of new pieces were poking through the skin that was already there, but they were coloured red round the edges to show some like bruising, not bruising, but to show sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? To show sort of that soreness and that redness where this new skin had been broken through and come up in a 3D texture. I've also painted it gold on top because I wanted it to look sort of like very warrior, so it was sort of like a warrior's war paint, very kind of Mad Max, and very sort of, I wanted these beings to be almost sort of hunters, because that was the initial idea that I had, but due to my ideas just being a little bit too out there, I've reined it back, and this is what I've come, but I'll explain that in my essay. And I just wanted to create something that was very inspired by aliens, but sort of a little nod of maybe this is where we're going from different structures of the gene pool, what's going to happen to humanity. So then these are my posing considerations, because I wanted to create something, create something that was sort of genderless as such. For my poses, I wanted very soft and very feminine ones. So there involves a lot of like hand touching, I noticed on my research with the women. There's very subtle arm movements, everything's very light and demure. With the male poses, they tend to be a lot bolder and they tend to be a lot sleeker. So that's what I've tried to incorporate with my images. Then I've also got my images that have been included. I've also made a how-to fashion guide so that any other makeup artist could pick this up and they could recreate the look step by step. It also explains a little bit about my concept, and on the side there is a product list, and then I have my model release forms.